My name's Austin Brown. I shoot for DUTV, and then I do some other freelance projects, real estate, aerial stuff. Got my aerial drone license, and basically just freelance outdoor stuff.
Yep, I'm Guy Shepard. Work for Moose Media as Mossy Oak as well. So, been a senior producer for DUTV for the last probably 6-7 years now. So, been doing it a while.
Me personally, I grew up kind of just hunting, fishing, stuff like that, and then just picked up. Kind of when I was learning a lot of it, YouTube started getting real big, so it's easy to get on there if you've got questions on the videos editing side, or just even learn how to take pictures and stuff. So that's kind of my background, I guess.
Yep, similar. I grew up hunting, fishing as well, but I went to kind of got a passion for photography, video in high school, and kind of pursued that through college, and got a degree in radio, television, film, and then kind of had a friend of a friend that had somebody that he worked with freelancing in the outdoor industry, and got on with him and started doing that about 10, 11 years ago. So.
I think the biggest thing that you got to decide, like if you're wanting to get into the filming side, is you got to put the gun down, right? Because everybody always wants to shoot and film at the same time. So there's a little bit of sacrifice there. Like a lot of times when I hunt with buddies, I'll pick up the camera and just focus on like trying to get this shot or whatever. So that would probably be my advice: is pick up the camera and shoot with the camera, so to speak.
Yeah. How often have you been like when we show up to a hunt within the first day? They ask you like, so how often do you get to hunt?
Right.
It's a pretty common question for us, and yeah, that's the thing. I think if you think you're interested in it, I would look at learn how to tell a story, and it's about pursuing it beyond just the hunt, and I think a DSLR as far as equipment is a great option because it's flexible. Right. You can do photos, videos, switch back and forth. It's a great option, and then I would spend more money on the lens than your camera body to start off with, because good glass on a less expensive camera can still look really good versus spending a bunch of money on a very expensive body
right.
and cheap lens. So knowing where to be and where not to be is a pretty critical thing that you just don't really know. And there's a difference between where you need to be to kill the ducks and where the camera needs to be, right, to get it. And same thing, hunting a turkey, hunting whatever, there's a difference in getting that shot that you have in your head or whatever for it to happen, and then make sure that the camera's there in the right spot. So yeah, I wish I maybe had a little more thought into where I need to be when I first started.
Turkey hunt's a good example because the animal's going to move too, so you got to be thinking not just what's it doing right now, what's it going to be doing. You always think the ideal situations are going to come right down right down that road, right down that feed, right down that pasture, whatever, or the field, and you think we're going to kill them right there, and a lot of times it doesn't happen. Same thing with ducks. We had wind kind of played us a little this morning, and they started coming over the back of our heads, and having him in a spot, or having the bird camera in a spot where they can be flexible enough but well hidden enough. That's the dance that we're always trying I think that's the example. Waterfowl hunting, like wind, like you can still shoot it, but if you're going to get the perfect shot, you still need to be over further in front of you with at your back. So
yeah.
DU Nation is sponsored by Yeti, Winchester Ammo, Drake Waterfowl Systems, Mossy Oak, and Winchester Repeating Arms. We believe in their products, and we appreciate it when you support the companies that support conservation.
that's probably more you're on the DUTV side anyway.
It's like I'm trying to, as far as just the process, I think of it almost as like a process documentary type of thing where you're just try to create a shot that's a beginning, a middle, and end. So like if they're gonna load up the Polaris or whatever to go on a hunt, like a couple close-ups of them grabbing a piece of equipment, and then a wide shot of like them walking towards the Polaris, and then a close-up, and then throwing it in. So I try to break things down into like mini stories, like if I know that I need to capture a sequence for a sponsor or whatever, I'm looking for a couple of different steps that I can grab along the way to fill that out. And then as far as the overall picture, I mean, it's really, I think I try to focus on the people and delve into their stories, why they do what they do, why they are out there, because I think that drives it. I think captures the audience a little bit more than just straight, hunt.
I think too capturing stuff kind of like what you mentioned outside the hunt itself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're gonna hunt with your dad or family member or something, like, you want to capture all those moments, like putting the waders on at the truck or whatever. You never know what's going to be funny or what's going to, I mean, that's what I like. Even with social media now, you can scroll through and look at some of those like cool stuff that happens outside the hunt. So.
Yep. It's like film everything. I mean, it's like, I especially, I do all the editing for DUTV, or a good majority of it, and the film everything. It's a lot of stuff that you have to cull through. It's a lot of time in the editing room, but in the end, I think if you capture all those little elements, that really rounds out the whole story. I mean, it starts with a phone call. It's I think building the relationship, being approachable, and just kind of, I don't know. I think I just try to be outgoing and just try to talk to people. That way they feel comfortable. And I tell people, I'm like, just pretend I'm not here in a way. Like, we're talking and everything, but like when the camera rolls, like, just talk to me. And that's hard. But I think having a host or someone that is comfortable helps, because it's less them talking to the camera. I try to approach it where they're talking amongst each other, and I'm just kind of capturing it, because then it's a natural conversation. The hardest part is doing what we're doing right now, just a sit-down interview, because they're just talking to a camera. But when they're in the blind, I try to get it conversationally,
right.
To where they feel comfortable on it. I think that helps break down those barriers a lot with people.
I think, just going back to what I said originally, is there's a few options out there, like, where you can put a camera on your gun or put one on your bow or whatever. I mean, my dad's biggest example of that, but it's not going to be a true, like, I think you have to put down the gun and pick up the camera for a lot of like capture moments, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's like, even when we're filming family events, or I'm, photographing my kid's birthday or something like that, it's like you almost have to just pull yourself out of being in that moment, and you have to be okay with like pulling yourself out of the hunt and think about what you're going to get in the end, or what you want to get, the story you want to tell, or whatever. You have to kind of pull yourself out and not be just involved in the hunting, because it's a different ball game, filming the hunt versus being a part of the hunt.
And I think you gotta, I wouldn't say be careless with your equipment, but you gotta take your camera. Like, I've got a couple of buddies that got nice cameras, and I'm like, man, did you get that? Did you take that picture or whatever? And it's like, no, I forgot to take it, or I didn't want to get it wet or whatever. And I think you have to have a little bit of adventure, so to speak.
Yeah, you think you just gotta, have some adventure, take a risk, because we're always around water and, dogs, things like that, that can knock stuff over, but you can't take the picture if you don't got the camera. And so having that ability to, like we were talking about, just pull away from the hunt a little bit and focus on, your craft, or if you want to call it that, but, building that out, telling the story, I think, is critical early on, for sure.
Thanks for watching DU Nation. Before the next episode, follow us on Instagram to see content as we're making it, and follow Ducks Unlimited on all of our platforms so you don't miss out on anything.